Discovery and awakening. The salvage vessel Scrapper's Pride drifted silently through the forbidden sector, its engines throttled to minimal output. Captain Elena Reyes stood on the cramped bridge, her eyes fixed on the main display where a massive object hung against the backdrop of distant stars. "What do you make of it, Tashi?" she asked, not taking her eyes off the screen. Tashi Nakamura, their sensors specialist, studied his readouts with a furrowed brow. "Definitely artificial. Human design from what I can tell, but old. Very old." "How old are we talking?" asked Darius, the ship's engineer, as he joined them on the bridge. "Pre-treaty era," Tashi replied quietly. "Maybe even expansion wars vintage." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. The expansion wars had ended over 2 centuries ago, when humanity had encountered the combined forces of the galactic hegemony. The resulting peace treaty had relegated humans to a minor species status, restricted to a handful of systems and forbidden from developing military technology beyond basic defense capabilities. "If the Hegemony Patrol catches us with pre-treaty military salvage," began Lin, their security officer, leaving the sentence unfinished. Everyone knew the consequences: imprisonment at best, summary execution at worst. Elena straightened her back. "We're already in restricted space. May as well make it worth the risk." She turned to her crew. "Prepare for approach and boarding. Standard salvage protocols." The Scrapper's Pride eased alongside the derelict vessel. Up close, it was even more impressive, nearly 5 times their size, its dark hull marked with the faded emblem of the United Earth Defense Force. The ship showed no signs of battle damage, appearing to have been simply abandoned. "She's called the Defiance," Lin reported, reading the barely visible name on the hull. "UEDF Defiance. Looks like a Brunswick-class destroyer." "Impossible," Darius muttered. The Brunswick class was mythical, a black project that never made it past the drawing board. Elena smiled thinly. "Seems like someone forgot to tell the ship that." An hour later, Elena led a boarding team through the airlock connecting the Scrapper's Pride to the ancient warship. The team consisted of herself, Darius, Lin, and their medic, Dr. Maya Wong. All wore environmental suits as a precaution, helmet lights cutting through the darkness of the dead vessel. "Life support systems are offline, but the hull integrity is intact," Maya reported, checking her scanner. "Air is stale but breathable if needed." They moved deeper into the ship, passing through wide corridors designed for rapid troop movement. Everything was covered in a thin layer of dust that had settled undisturbed for centuries. "This ship could hold hundreds," whispered Lin, her voice filled with awe. "And look at these weapon mounts," Darius added, examining a recessed compartment in the wall. "Nothing like our current defensive systems. These were built to inflict serious damage." After 20 minutes of exploration, they reached what appeared to be the bridge, a spacious command center with stations for dozens of officers and a raised central platform. Unlike the utilitarian design of modern human vessels, this bridge spoke of a time when humanity built with purpose and pride. "See if you can access the ship's systems," Elena ordered, approaching what looked like the captain's chair. "Maybe there's something worth salvaging besides scrap metal." Darius moved to what appeared to be the main engineering station and brushed away dust from the console. Fascinating design, advanced even by today's standards. He pulled out a portable powered unit from his pack and carefully connected it to the console. "I'm just going to give it a small jolt, see if there's any residual." The bridge lights suddenly flickered, then came on at low power. Displays around them glowed softly, showing ship diagrams and status reports. "What did you do?" Elena demanded, as the others tensed. "Nothing," Darius insisted, looking shocked. "I barely connected." A deep humming sound filled the bridge as more systems activated. The main screen at the front of the room blinked to life, displaying the ship's emblem, a defiant fist clutching a lightning bolt. Then a voice spoke, calm, clear, and distinctly male. "Systems reactivating. Identity verification required. The four humans froze, exchanging alarmed glances. The AI is still active, Maya whispered in disbelief. Elena stepped forward cautiously. This is Captain Elena Reyes of the salvage vessel Scrapper's Pride. We are human explorers who found this ship abandoned. There was a pause, then the voice responded. Scanning biological signatures. Human DNA confirmed. Another pause. Standard authentication protocols have expired. Enacting emergency contingency measures. The screen changed to show a stylized human face, simple but expressive. I am Tactical Artificial Intelligence Construct DEFI-1, assigned to UEDF Defiance. It's actually talking to us, Lynn murmured. What is your current assignment? Elena asked the AI. My primary mission was to serve as tactical command for special operations during the expansion conflicts. When hostilities escalated, I was instructed to maintain standby status until recalled, or until human interests were threatened. I have been dormant for 213 years, 7 months and 22 days. Darius whistled softly. 2 centuries, and it still has power. That's impossible with current human technology, the AI finished. This vessel is equipped with experimental systems not shared with the galactic hegemony. My power core utilizes controlled zero-point energy extraction. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. Zero-point energy was theoretical in modern human science, its practical application forbidden by hegemony regulations. Do you have a designation we can call you? She asked. The original crew referred to me as Defi, the AI replied. Short for defiance. Defi, Elena repeated. What exactly is this ship capable of? The main screen changed, showing technical diagrams and weapon systems that made even Darius' eyes widen in astonishment. I believe, Defi replied. The more relevant question is what threats currently exist to human interests. My sensors detect non-human civilizations dominating this sector. Are these entities allies or adversaries? Before Elena could formulate a response, Lynn interrupted urgently. Captain, proximity alert. Hegemony patrol vessel approaching our position. ETA, 5 minutes. They must have detected the power signature, Darius said, his face pale. Elena turned back to the AI. Things have changed since your time, Defi. Humans made peace with alien races. We formed the galactic hegemony together. We have treaties. Accessing archive data, Defi announced. Screens around the bridge filled with treaty documents and historical records. The Armistice of New Geneva. Humans surrendered significant military capability in exchange for peace and limited resource rights. It was a fair deal, Maya interjected. We get protection and trade rights. The terms appear fundamentally unbalanced, Defi stated. Human technological development was curtailed at 68% of projected growth curves. Territorial expansion reduced by 94%. Military capability reduced to 12% of pre-treaty levels. Elena wanted to argue but couldn't. The AI was simply stating facts that most humans preferred not to examine too closely. Captain, the hegemony vessel is hailing us, Lynn reported. Put them through, Elena ordered, then whispered to the others, let me do the talking. The main screen switched to show a Vraxian officer, tall, with iridescent scales and 4 yellow eyes. Human vessel, you are in restricted space. Identify yourselves and state your purpose. Elena stepped forward. This is Captain Elena Reyes of the salvage vessel Scrapper's Pride. We detected an anomaly and came to investigate. We're preparing to leave now. The Vraxian's eyes narrowed. Our sensors detect power signatures consistent with prohibited military technology. Stand by for boarding and inspection. The transmission cut off, and Elena turned to her crew. We're in trouble. If they find this ship, they'll execute us as treaty violators. We could try to run, Lynn suggested. The Pride can outrun a standard patrol vessel, but not the reinforcements they'll call, Darius countered. I have analyzed the situation, Defi interrupted. The approaching vessel is a Vraxian Sentinel-class patrol ship, Armament includes plasma cannons and guided projectiles. Threat assessment. Minimal. Minimal. Maya echoed in disbelief. Those ships can tear through our hull in seconds. Not your vessel, Defi clarified. The Defiance. The implication hung in the air for a long moment before Elena spoke. Are you suggesting we use this ship? We don't even know how to operate it. I can provide operational guidance, Defi replied. Basic navigation and defensive systems require minimal training. I can handle tactical operations. Elena looked at her crew, seeing the same mixture of fear and desperate hope in their eyes that she felt herself. If we're caught with this ship, it's treason against the hegemony, she said slowly. And if we abandon it, the hegemony gets their hands on technology that could change everything, Darius countered. 2 minutes until hegemony boarding party arrives, Lynn reported. Elena closed her eyes for a brief moment, then opened them with resolution. Defi, initiate emergency startup sequence. We're taking the Defiance. Acknowledged, Captain Reyes. The AI responded, as systems throughout the bridge hummed to life. Welcome to the crew of the UEDF Defiance. As Elena took the captain's chair, feeling its unfamiliar contours, she couldn't help but wonder if they were making the biggest mistake of their lives, or perhaps writing the first chapter in humanity's return to the stars as equals, not subordinates. The ancient warship, forgotten for centuries, was about to make its presence known to a galaxy that had long since dismissed humanity as a threat. Revelations and pursuit. Maneuvering thrusters online. Primary power at 68% and rising. Defi's calm voice echoed through the bridge as the Defiance slowly pulled away from the scrapper's pride. Elena gripped the command chair tightly. What about weapons systems? Defensive capabilities at 43%. Offensive systems require calibration. The eye's face on the main screen shifted slightly, expressing what almost looked like anticipation. Estimated time to weapons readiness. 6 minutes. The hegemony vessel will be in weapons range in 2, Lynn warned from the tactical station she'd been hastily assigned to. Darius had taken engineering, while Maya monitored communications. None of them were trained military personnel, but with Defi's guidance, they were quickly learning the basics of operating the ancient warship. Incoming transmission from the hegemony vessel, Maya reported. The Vraxian officer appeared on screen again, his yellow eyes widening at the sight of humans operating what was clearly a military vessel. Human vessel, power down immediately. You are in violation of Treaty Article 7 prohibiting operation of military-grade spacecraft. Elena straightened in her chair. This is Captain Reyes. We found this vessel abandoned and are returning it to proper authorities. Deception detected in vocal patterns, Defi noted privately to Elena through her console. The Vraxian scales flared in anger. You will stand down immediately or face destruction. Transmission ended, Maya reported as the screen went blank. They're charging weapons, Lynn announced. Targeting solutions locked on us. Elena turned to the eye's display. Defi. Evasive maneuvers. Can we outrun them? Affirmative. Main engines are now at 73% efficiency. The Vraxian vessel cannot match our acceleration profile. The screen changed to show a tactical display. However, they have already transmitted our position to Hegemony Command. Additional forces will be dispatched. How much time do we have? Nearest Hegemony battle group is approximately 4 hours at maximum FTL. The ship shuddered as the Vraxian vessel opened fire, plasma bolts streaming past them. Shields holding at 97%. Defi reported calmly. No significant damage. Elena felt a rush of exhilaration despite their predicament. The technology aboard the Defiance was centuries ahead of what humans were permitted to use under hegemony regulations. Captain, Defi continued, I recommend we utilize the confusion to access the ship's secure data vault. I detect encrypted files that may explain why this vessel was abandoned rather than destroyed. Do it, Elena ordered. Darius, continue bringing systems online. Lynn, keep an eye on that patrol ship. Maya, see if you can access the crew quarters. We need proper clothing and supplies if we're going to be on this ship for a while." As the crew carried out their tasks, Alina studied the ship schematics displayed on her console. The Defiance was unlike any vessel she'd seen before, not just in its offensive capabilities, but in its fundamental design philosophy. Modern human ships were built to hegemony specifications, emphasizing efficiency and standardization. The Defiance, by contrast, was built to fight and win. "Defy, plot a course away from populated systems. We need time to figure out our next move." Course plotted. FTL drive spooling up. Estimated readiness in 40 seconds. The Vraxian vessel fired again, this time scoring a direct hit. The ship trembled, but the shields held. "They're trying to disable our engines," Lynn warned. "FTL in 20 seconds, Defy announced. Alina watched the tactical display as the Vraxian ship adjusted position, attempting to block their escape vector. 15 seconds. Another hit, stronger this time. Shields at 85%. 10 seconds. The Vraxian vessel launched what appeared to be boarding pods, small, fast projectiles designed to punch through shields and attach to the hull. 5 seconds. "Intercept those pods," Alina ordered. Without hesitation, Defy activated the point defense system. Laser turrets that had been dormant for centuries sprung to life, tracking and destroying the incoming threats with precision that no human gunner could match. FTL engage. Space twisted around them as the Defiance leaped to faster-than-light speed, leaving the Vraxian patrol ship far behind. Alina exhaled slowly, only now realizing she'd been holding her breath. Status report. "All systems functioning within acceptable parameters," Defy responded. "Minor damage to outer hull plating. Self-repair systems activated." Self-repair. Darius looked up from his console in surprise. That's prohibited technology under hegemony regulations, as is 97% of this vessel's capabilities. Defy noted with what sounded almost like pride. "I've accessed the secure archives," the AI continued. "I believe you should review this, Captain." The main screen changed to show a recording of a human officer in a uniform similar to historical images of the UEDF. The timestamp indicated it was recorded 213 years ago, shortly before the ship was abandoned. "This is Admiral Vanessa Chen, commanding officer of the UEDF Defiance," the woman began, her expression grave. "If you're seeing this message, then someone has reactivated Defy, and you've taken control of this vessel. I pray you're human, because what I'm about to tell you could change everything." The Admiral took a deep breath before continuing. The Brunswick-class vessels were the pinnacle of human military technology, ships designed to face any threat the galaxy might present. The Defiance was the prototype, equipped with technologies decades ahead of anything else in our fleet. We were winning the war against the hegemony forces, not just holding our own, winning. This revelation stunned the crew into silence. Historical records taught that humanity had been on the verge of annihilation when the treaty was signed. Then came the peace initiative. Admiral Chen continued. Suddenly, after years of conflict, the hegemony wanted to talk. They offered terms that seemed generous: guaranteed territory, protection, trade rights. Many were eager to end the fighting, and the treaty was signed with overwhelming support. Her face hardened. What most people don't know is that certain elements within our own government had been compromised. The hegemony's infiltration was subtle. Economic pressure, blackmail, even mind-altering technologies on key officials. They feared what humanity might become if we continued to develop unchecked. The treaty wasn't just about peace. It was designed to ensure humanity would never threaten hegemony dominance. Technology restrictions, military limitations, territory constraints, all carefully crafted to keep us contained. When some of us discovered the truth and tried to resist, we were branded traitors. The Brunswick program was officially terminated. Most ships were dismantled under hegemony supervision, but I couldn't let them take the Defiance. We faked a catastrophic drive failure, ejected the crew in escape pods, and programmed DEFI to maintain minimal functions until the ship could be recovered by loyalists. The Admiral's expression turned solemn. Obviously, that recovery never happened. But now you have the Defiance, and with it, the proof of what really happened and the means to do something about it. The recording ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. "Is this true?" Elena finally asked, turning to DEFI. "My records corroborate Admiral Chen's account," the AI confirmed. "Additionally, I've been analyzing modern human technology based on your ship's specifications. The technological regression is consistent with artificial suppression rather than natural development plateaus. So everything we've been taught about the treaty, about our place in the galaxy, has been a lie." Maya's voice was barely above a whisper. "Not entirely," DEFI replied. "The treaty did end the conflict, but at a cost few humans were permitted to understand." Darius slammed his fist on the console. "They've been keeping us down for centuries, limiting our potential. That's why human colonies are always under protection of hegemony forces," Lin realized. "It's not protection. It's surveillance." Elena stood up, pacing the bridge as she processed these revelations. "Even if all this is true, what can we do? We're one ship against the entire hegemony." "One extremely advanced ship," DEFI pointed out. "And not all species within the hegemony benefit from human suppression. Some have suffered similar treatments." Elena paused, a plan beginning to form. "The Martian colony on Proxima. It's technically under hegemony jurisdiction, but it's primarily human-populated and has always been independent-minded. The Proxima system is 2.3 days away at our current FTL capabilities," DEFI informed them. "Set course for Proxima," Elena ordered, "and continue bringing all systems online. I want to know exactly what this ship can do when we get there." "Acknowledged, Captain." Course adjusted. As the Defiance streaked through FTL space, Elena reviewed more of the ship's capabilities with growing amazement. Quantum-entangled communications that couldn't be intercepted or tracked. Adaptive shield technology that learned from attacks and became stronger. An array of weapons that included not just conventional armaments but experimental systems that could target enemy vessels with surgical precision. "Captain," Lin called out several hours later, "I'm detecting multiple hegemony signatures in pursuit. A full battle group. At least 6 vessels, including the dreadnought. Time to intercept. At their current speed, they'll catch us just before we reach Proxima." Elena exchanged glances with her crew. "DEFI, what are our chances against a battle group?" "In the current state of readiness, approximately 27%. With full systems activation, that increases to 63%. "Not great odds either way," Lin muttered. "There is an alternative," DEFI suggested. "We could drop out of FTL briefly in the Barnard star system. The stellar radiation would mask our signature, allowing us to make course adjustments they cannot predict." "That would mean passing dangerously close to the star," Darius warned. "The Defiance is equipped with stellar radiation shielding," DEFI assured them. "It would be uncomfortable but survivable." Elena nodded decisively. "Do it. We need to reach Proxima before they catch us." Hours later, the Defiance dropped into normal space dangerously close to Barnard's star. The ship's environment immediately heated up despite the environmental systems working at maximum capacity. "Hull temperature rising," Darius reported, wiping sweat from his brow. "Shields are holding, but we can't stay here long." "Hegemony vessels have overshot our position," Lin confirmed. "They'll realize their mistakes soon." "Recalculating approach to Proxima," DEFI announced, ready to re-engage FTL. As they prepared to jump, sensors detected a small vessel hiding in the shadow of a nearby planetoid. "Human signature," Lin reported with surprise. "A mining ship by the looks of it." "They're transmitting a distress signal," Maya added. "Their life support is failing due to the radiation." Elena didn't hesitate. "Bring them aboard if we can." "Warning," DEFI interjected. Rendering assistance will delay our departure and increase the probability of detection. Those are our people out there, Alina replied firmly. We don't leave them behind. Using the Defiance's advanced tractor systems, they managed to guide the small mining vessel into one of the cargo bays. By the time Alina and Lynn reached them, 4 miners, 2 men and 2 women, were stumbling out of their damaged craft, coughing and disoriented. You saved us, one of the women managed, her eyes widening as she took in the military vessel. But how? What ship is this? That's a long story, Alina replied. I'm Captain Reyes. Welcome aboard the Defiance. Before more explanations could be offered, Defi's voice came over the intercom. Captain, hegemony vessels have adjusted course. They are converging on our position. Get to the bridge. Alina ordered Lynn, then turned to the miners. We need to move now. I promise we'll explain everything once we're safe. Back on the bridge, the tactical display showed 3 hegemony warships approaching rapidly. FTL not yet available, Defi reported. The stellar interference is affecting recalibration. Time to FTL capability. 4 minutes, 17 seconds. They'll be in weapons range in 2 minutes, Lynn warned. Alina settled into the command chair. Defi, power up all defensive systems. Looks like we're going to find out what this ship can do in a fight after all. As the hegemony ships closed in, weapon systems charging, the ancient warship that nobody had feared for centuries prepared to demonstrate why that had been a serious mistake. Confrontation and triumph. The first hegemony cruiser fired a warning shot that passed deliberately close to the Defiance's bow. Standard procedure before engagement. They're ordering us to power down and prepare for boarding, Maya reported from communications. Alina's hands gripped the armrests of her command chair. Defi. Status on FTL. Recalibration at 79%. Estimated time to readiness. 3 minutes, 40 seconds. Too long, Lynn muttered from tactical. They'll disable us before then. The newly rescued miners had been brought to the bridge, where they watched with a mixture of awe and fear. One of them, a weathered man who had introduced himself as Kovacs, stepped forward. Captain, I recognized this ship the moment I saw it. My grandfather served in the UEDF before the treaty, said the Brunswick class was humanity's greatest achievement and our greatest loss. Alina nodded acknowledgement but kept her focus on the tactical display. Defi, what offensive capabilities do we have that won't drain too much power from the FTL recalibration? The pulse disruptors require minimal energy and will temporarily disable enemy systems without causing catastrophic damage. Target their propulsion and weapons systems, Alina ordered. Fire when ready. The Defiance shuddered slightly as invisible pulses of energy shot toward the approaching hegemony vessels. The effect was immediate. The lead cruiser's lights flickered, and it began to drift off course. Direct hit, Lynn reported with satisfaction. Their primary systems are offline. The remaining ships adjusted their approach, now fully aware they weren't dealing with a standard human vessel. All hegemony vessels are powering weapons arrays, Lynn warned. Multiple targeting locks detected. Evasive maneuvers, Alina commanded. Defi. How much longer for FTL? 2 minutes, 12 seconds. The space around them lit up as the hegemony ships opened fire. Most shots were absorbed by the Defiance's shields, but several got through, causing the ship to shake violently. Shields at 68%, Darius reported from engineering. We can't take sustained fire like this. Alina made a quick decision. Defi. Target their weapons arrays with maximum precision. I don't want to destroy those ships if we can avoid it. Targeting solutions acquired, the AI confirmed. Firing. The Defiance's main weapons unleashed a barrage that struck the hegemony vessels with surgical precision. One by one, their weapon emplacements exploded or went dark. Direct hits on all targets, Lynn announced, unable to keep the amazement from her voice. Their offensive capabilities are severely compromised. FTL ready in 30 seconds, Defi reported. Just as it seemed they might escape, A massive new contact appeared on their sensors. Hegemony dreadnought dropping out of FTL, Lynn mourned. It's the Indomitable. Elena felt her blood run cold. The Indomitable was the flagship of the Hegemony's Third Fleet, commanded by Admiral Zorax, a notorious hardliner known for his harsh treatment of treaty violators. The dreadnought dwarfed the Defiance, its vast hull bristling with weapon emplacements. A transmission immediately came through. "This is Admiral Zorax of the Hegemony vessel Indomitable," a deep, resonant voice announced as a reptilian face appeared on screen. The saurian scales were dark gray, almost black, marked with ceremonial scarification denoting high rank. "You are operating a prohibited military vessel in violation of the Treaty of New Geneva. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." Elena stood from her chair, facing the screen directly. "This is Captain Elena Reyes of the UEDF Defiance. We will not surrender this vessel." Zorax's expression darkened. "You have no concept of what you're interfering with, human. That ship should have been destroyed centuries ago. Its very existence threatens the stability of the galaxy." "FTL ready," Defi announced quietly. Elena smiled coldly at the Admiral. "Perhaps that stability needs threatening, Admiral, especially when it's built on lies." "Fire all weapons," Zorax roared to someone off-screen. "Jump now," Elena ordered. The Defiance leaped into FTL just as the dreadnought's weapons discharged, the energy blasts passing through empty space where they had been seconds before. As the blue-shifted stars streaked past the viewports, Elena finally allowed herself to breathe again. "Damage report." "Moderate damage to sections 4 through 7, Darius reported. "Self-repair systems are already addressing critical areas. Shields at 42% but regenerating." "That was too close," Maya said, her hands trembling slightly as she adjusted her console. Kovacs, the miner who had spoken earlier, approached Elena. "Captain, I don't know what you're planning, but after what I just saw, my crew and I want to help. The Hegemonies had their boot on our necks for too long." Elena studied the man and his companions, seeing determination in their eyes. "Welcome to the crew, Mr. Kovacs. We're headed to Proxima to gather more allies. I have a feeling we'll need all the help we can get. The Hegemony will deploy their full fleet to hunt us down," Lynn pointed out. "We've directly challenged their authority." "Good," Elena replied firmly. "Let them come. It's time humanity remembered what we're capable of." They reached Proxima 16 hours later, dropping out of FTL in high orbit around the human colony world. Below them, the terraformed planet gleamed blue and green against the red light of its star. "Hegemony presence detected in orbit," Lynn reported. "1 defense platform and 2 patrol vessels. Open a secure channel to the Martian Colonial Authority," Elena ordered. "Use the quantum-entangled communications system to bypass Hegemony monitoring." Within moments, a surprised-looking official appeared on screen. Governor Elias Chen stared in disbelief at what he was seeing. "This is a restricted channel. How did you?" He stopped suddenly, his eyes widening as he recognized the bridge configuration. "Is that a Brunswick-class vessel?" "Governor Chen, I'm Captain Elena Reyes. We've recovered the UEDF Defiance and discovered evidence that the Treaty of New Geneva was implemented under false pretenses." Chen's expression turned guarded. "Captain, whatever you think you've discovered, I strongly advise you to surrender that vessel to Hegemony authorities immediately." "The repercussions." "Governor," Elena interrupted, "was Admiral Vanessa Chen your ancestor?" The man went very still. "My great-grandmother," he finally acknowledged. "How did you know that?" "We found her final message aboard this ship. She left evidence about the true nature of the treaty, how humanity was manipulated and deliberately suppressed." Chen's eyes darted to something off-screen, then back. "Captain, meet me at coordinates I'm transmitting now. Come alone, in a shuttle. This conversation cannot continue over any communications channel." 2 hours later, Elena found herself in an underground facility beneath the Martian colonial government headquarters. Governor Chen had brought her through a series of security checkpoints, each more elaborate than the last. For generations, a few of us have kept the truth alive, Chen explained as they walked. Passed down from those who knew what really happened during the treaty negotiations. He led her into a large chamber that took her breath away. It housed what appeared to be a partially constructed Brunswick-class vessel, smaller than the Defiance, but unmistakably of the same design. The Phoenix, Chen said, noting her surprise. Built in secret over the last 50 years using plans preserved by my family. We've been waiting for the right moment to challenge the hegemony's dominance, but we lacked the tactical advantage. Until now, Elena replied, understanding dawning. Chen nodded. With the Defiance, we have a fighting chance, but we must move quickly. The moment the hegemony realizes we've gone rogue, they'll move to occupy all human colonies. How soon can the Phoenix be ready? Days, not weeks. We've been preparing for this possibility for generations. When Elena returned to the Defiance, she found her crew had been busy. Darius had completed the restoration of several key systems, while Lin had been working with DeFi to develop tactical strategies against hegemony forces. The hegemony has dispatched their main battle fleet from Arcturus, DeFi informed her as she stepped onto the bridge. Estimated arrival, 48 hours. Then we have 48 hours to prepare, Elena replied. Governor Chen is mobilizing colonial defense forces and completing a second Brunswick-class vessel. We're not running anymore. We're making a stand. Over the next 2 days, the Proxima system transformed. Hidden weapons platforms emerged from concealment on moons and asteroids. Colonial defense ships, previously restricted to minimal armament, were hastily upgraded with technology from the Defiance. The Phoenix was moved into orbit, its systems coming online one by one. Most importantly, a message was transmitted to every human colony and settlement using the Defiance's quantum-entangled communications, the truth about the treaty, about humanity's suppression, and about the stand they were making at Proxima. Responses are coming in from across human space, Maya reported excitedly. New Eden, Tav Ceti, Epsilon Eridani. They're all with us. Colonial defense forces are mobilizing everywhere. The hegemony fleet arrived with predictable punctuality. Over 30 capital ships dropping out of FTL in perfect formation, led by the massive Indomitable. Admiral Zorax wasted no time issuing his ultimatum. Attention Proxima colony and insurgent vessels. You are in violation of multiple treaty provisions. Surrender immediately or face orbital bombardment. Elena stood on the Defiance's bridge, Chen beside her as honorary first officer. Around them, the combined forces of humanity prepared for battle, outmatched in numbers but fighting for their freedom. Admiral Zorax, Elena responded, her voice steady. The treaty you invoke was implemented through deception and coercion. Admiral Zorax, Elena responded, her voice steady. The treaty you invoke was implemented through deception and coercion. It was designed not for peace but to ensure humanity remained subjugated. We no longer recognize its authority. Zorax's scaled face contorted with rage. You have made your choice, human. The consequences will be suffered by all your kind. The transmission cut off, and the hegemony fleet began to advance. All ships, defensive formation Alpha, Elena ordered. Governor Chen, is the Phoenix ready? Chen nodded, his expression grim but determined. As ready as she'll ever be. DEFA, initiate full combat protocols. It's time to show the hegemony what this ship can really do. Combat protocols initiated, the AI confirmed. All systems at maximum efficiency, activating previously dormant weapon arrays. New sections of the Defiance's hull slid open, revealing weapon systems that had remained hidden even during their previous engagements. The ship hummed with power as energy readings spiked across all systems. By the stars, whispered Lin, staring at her tactical display. The weapons we used before were just the basics. The hegemony fleet launched their first salvo, hundreds of energy projectiles streaking toward the human defensive line. "Brace for impact," Elena warned. But instead of the expected barrage, the Defiance's advanced shield system created a cascading barrier that extended to protect the nearby colonial vessels. The hegemony weapons dissipated against it like rain on hot metal. "Shield extension successful," Defi reported. "Minimal power drain detected." Elena leaned forward. "Target the hegemony support vessels. Disabling shots only. We want to show strength, not brutality." The Defiance's main weapons fired, precise, devastating beams that sliced through the hegemony ship's shields and weapons systems with surgical precision. 5 enemy vessels drifted powerless in the first exchange. "The Phoenix is moving to engage," Chen reported. The second Brunswick-class vessel, smaller but agile, darted between the larger hegemony ships, its weapons disabling engines and weapon systems before the enemy could effectively respond. For the first time in centuries, humanity was fighting back and winning. Admiral Zorax, seeing his advantage slipping away, ordered a change in tactics. The hegemony fleet split into smaller attack groups, attempting to surround and isolate the human vessels. "They're adapting," Lin warned. "Targeting solutions becoming more complex." "Defi, tactical assessment," Elena asked. "The enemy's numerical advantage allows for distributed attack patterns. Recommend activating the Thunderstorm Protocol." Elena glanced at Chen, who nodded in recognition of the name. "Do it." The Defiance's entire hull began to glow with a subtle blue light. Energy readings surged beyond any previous levels, and for a moment, even the ship's gravity wavered. "What's happening?" Elena asked, gripping her chair as the deck vibrated beneath her feet. The Thunderstorm Protocol was the Brunswick program's ultimate defensive measure, Defi explained. It generates a controlled quantum disruption field that temporarily neutralizes advanced energy weapons within its radius. When the hegemony ships fired their next salvo, their weapons simply sputtered and died, energy dissipating harmlessly in space. "Now," Elena ordered, "all ships advance and disable their primary vessels." The human fleet surged forward, targeting the suddenly vulnerable hegemony ships. The Phoenix led a wing of colonial vessels against the enemy's right flank, while the Defiance drove straight toward the Indomitable. "Admiral Zorax is hailing us," Maya reported. On screen, Elena commanded. Zorax appeared, his composure visibly shaken. "What have you done?" "This technology was supposed to be erased from existence." "You can't erase human ingenuity, Admiral," Elena replied. "Stand down your fleet. We don't want unnecessary bloodshed." "Never," Zorax snarled. "The hegemony will never submit to human dominance." "We don't want dominance," Elena countered. "We want equality. The freedom to develop as we choose, to explore without artificial constraints, to determine our own destiny." "Naive fools," Zorax spat. "Your species isn't ready for true technological advancement. The restrictions were for your own protection, as much as ours." "That's not your decision to make," Elena said firmly. "Stand down, Admiral, or we will disable the Indomitable." Instead of replying, Zorax cut the transmission. The Indomitable's engines flared as it drove directly toward the Defiance, weapons charging despite the Thunderstorm Protocol's effects. "He's going to ram us," Lin realized. "Evasive maneuvers," Elena ordered. "Target their engines." The Defiance pivoted gracefully, its advanced maneuvering systems allowing it to avoid the larger vessel's charge, while simultaneously firing precise shots that crippled the Dreadnought's propulsion systems. The Indomitable drifted, powerless but intact, as Elena ordered the Defiance to take position directly above it. "Open a channel to all hegemony vessels," she commanded. When the connection was established, Elena stood tall before the camera. "This is Captain Elena Reyes of the UEDF. Defiance to all hegemony forces. Your flagship is disabled, and your weapons are ineffective against our defenses. I offer you this choice: withdraw from human space immediately, or face the consequences of continued aggression." For several tense moments, there was no response. Then, one by one, the hegemony vessels began powering down their weapon systems. Elena gazed out at the stars through the view screen. For the first time in centuries, those stars represented possibility rather than limitation for humanity. The ancient warship that no one had feared had changed everything in a single day. "Send a message to all human colonies," she ordered. "Tell them the Defiance has kept its promise. Humanity stands free and united once more." As the Defiance maintained its position above Proxima, the first transmissions began arriving from Earth itself. Confusion, celebration, demands for explanation. The carefully maintained narrative of 2 centuries was crumbling in real time as the truth spread across human space. Elena knew the path forward wouldn't be easy. Some humans had prospered under hegemony rule and would resist change. The alien races within the hegemony would have their own reactions to this sudden shift in power dynamics. There would be negotiations, compromises, and likely further conflicts. But standing on the bridge of a ship built by humans who refused to accept limitation, surrounded by a crew who had risked everything for freedom, Elena felt something that had been missing from humanity for too long. Hope. "Where to now, Captain?" Lynn asked from her station. Elena smiled. "Everywhere, Lieutenant. Absolutely everywhere."